The horrific murder of Alfie Tickens sickened the small town of Vinewood. Alfie was a quiet man that didn't bother anybody. He was a harmless hermit who lived in a big wooden shed out in the woods. His favorite place to be was at a nearby lake he fished from daily. All he ever ate was fish. One day, while Alfie sat in his chair, fishing rod in hand, he was approached by two teenage boys, Duke and Mason. The boys started picking on Alfie, calling him a freak, while also mocking his dark red fishing hat and camouflaged body warmer. Duke took the bullying a step further by dragging Alfie out of his chair and onto the dampened ground. Alfie took off running back through the woods back to his woodshed. Before he was able to open its door fully, Duke caught up with him and threw a closed fist into the back of his head. Alfie fell to his knees. Duke glanced at Mason and asked for the pocket knife in his jean pocket. Mason didn't know what to do. He didn't want to hurt this man, but he also didn't want to get hurt by Duke either. Mason reluctantly handed Duke the knife. Alfie glared into Mason's eyes. Mason pitied him. He never wanted it to go this far. Duke cruelly sliced Alfie's throat. Mason was horrified. Laughing, Duke then took off running in the direction he came from. Mason followed suit. A dying Alfie somehow managed to crawl his way back into the woodshed. He got close to his clock that ticked away his final seconds. It was a family heirloom that had been passed down by 3 generations. Alfie laid his head on it as he took his final breath. He had turned still for all eternity. The last thing he ever heard was the ticking of his priceless clock. A few months had passed. Duke didn't have a care in the world. Mason, on the other hand, was riddled with guilt. Duke goaded him to come on a bike ride down near the lake, Alfie's favorite lake. As soon as they arrived, Mason wanted to leave immediately. Duke chuckled at Mason's fear, before walking to the very spot where he first targeted Alfie. That wuss Alfie Tickens got what was coming to him, said a sociopathic Duke. Then something extremely unusual started to happen. Both Mason and Duke started to hear the sounds of a ticking clock. They didn't know where it was coming from, but it got louder and louder as each second passed. The ticking was now deafening. Mason's eyes then began to fill up with terror as he saw a hand rise from the water. It grabbed Duke by the lower leg and tried to pull him into the lake. Another hand rose from the water, but this one held a pocket knife. The pocket knife. The left hand which held the knife penetrated it into Duke's leg. He cried in agony as he got pulled into the water. Everything went eerily silent. Mason was stood there, on the verge of a breakdown. Then he almost had a heart attack as Duke jumped up from the water, gasping for air. Half of his face had been mutilated. Mason took off running into the woods. He didn't know where he was going. His survival instincts just told him to run. Then he stopped. Mason started to get teary-eyed as he stared at the old woodshed. Alfie's woodshed. As soon as he laid his eyes on it, the loud ticking that plagued his ears immediately stopped. The door of the woodshed slowly opened. Alfie Tickens stood in the doorframe. His face was a dark shade of purple, and his wounded neck still dripped his blood. "I'm sorry," cried Mason. Sorry wasn't good enough for Alfie. Mason and Duke are still missing. The only trace of them was a pocket knife with the name Duke Milston engraved on the handle. Alfie Tickens' blood was confirmed to be on the knife, as well as Duke's fingerprints. Rumors circulated around Vinewood, and from those rumors, a legend was born. As the legend goes, if you stand near the Vinewood Lake and say the name Alfie Tickens, your eardrums will suffer from the sounds of a ticking clock. Alfie Tickens will then rise from the water and unleash his deadly rage. The last thing you will ever hear as your world fades to black is tick, tick, tick. Hey guys, if I inspire you with my content, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video, hit the subscribe button, and slam that notification bell. Thank you very much.